Welcome to Wings Boss Ladies. I'm Jacqueline Jones, your host, and I am super excited today to welcome our spotlight member, Heidi Wagner of Heidi Wagner Photography and the Passions Project. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Great to be here.
Great to be here. So tell us a little bit about Heidi Wagner Photography and the Passions Project.
The Passions Project is a black and white portrait series of older adults engaging in their passions as a way of redefining aging. So I started the project in about 2011 while I was working at a retirement community in Boulder, and I was recognized just the disconnect that happens between when I would say to people, I work in a retirement community, the reaction that I would get compared to the actual experience I was having while I was working there. Because truly and honestly, the residents and the people that I was working with are the motivation and the inspiration behind the Passions Project. It is all the cool and amazing things that they do every day that inspired me to want to tell that story about, how they inspire me, but how I knew that they could inspire other people as well.
So they inspire you because they're sharing with you their passion and you're capturing that in the photography. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's all about trying to move away from that idea of like, when you see people, there's a lot of times you're thinking, well, what's their age? And really what I want to do is for people, instead of thinking about what's your age, I want people to be thinking like, what's their passion?
What's their passion? So you're really, as you've put it in with me and others in the past, you're redefining aging. Mm-hmm. And you're really creating that conversation. You're changing the way we think about aging. Share more about that.
You go around and you ask people about how they feel about age or aging, and we all have this idea that aging is something to be feared and something to be avoided. Whereas when you see people living their passion, you're not thinking about age, you're thinking about their passion. And so when you create this disconnect around the idea of, what's your age and aging as being something to fear, you're disconnecting from living. And what I'm wanting people to do is to really connect with the idea of living life every day to the fullest and what we can learn from that and how we can connect other people around that. So the idea of seeing people live their passion is the part that brings the project alive and brings people alive, and the idea of really truly that true, powerful, authentic connection that we can get through sharing our lives and our passions with others.
So you go into retirement homes and you have the residents that live there, and you take a group of them and you do a photography project with individuals one at a time in black and white, capturing their story, capturing their passion. And tell us about that experience that they would have with you and how you get them to really move through and get photographed.
First of all, before I do any type of photos, I most definitely sit down with them and I interview people. I leave the camera in the bag, I take out my notes, and we just sit across from each other one-on-one, and I ask questions, from everything from, how many kids do you have to, what is your passion? Tell us more about that. How long you've been doing it. And, within a 15, 20-minute conversation, it's really us getting to know each other and, you wanting to really get people comfortable because, not many people love getting their picture taken. There's only been a few people that's really truly been the case. But you get them to sort of get connected to that passion. So it's really, the picture then becomes about their passion and not necessarily about them. And so together then from there we create, whatever it is, wherever we are, how we're going to do their picture about them and their passion.
And give us a few examples, and I know a few will be up on screen here, but tell us about what happens to them when you get them in their passion, even if they haven't done it a long time. What happens to these adults, these residents?
It's a connection. It's a connection to something that is really beautiful to them, and therefore it's just something that comes out and comes through with the pictures that get taken, and it comes through within the image. When somebody gets that connection to, like Roxy on her motorcycle, Dean playing the piano, or Marie on the banjo, you really see that life coming through, and you see that love and that passion, and I love watching people have an opportunity to be in the spotlight, and that their passion and their life is in the spotlight, and that letting people know that there's this opportunity out there to bridge and move forward and show people what their life is really about.
And so you take these series of photographs for a retirement home, and then this story of the residents that live there are put on display. What happens when people from the residents themselves see it, to the families that are coming to visit, to those that work there, when they see this display of their residents in their passions?
It is one of the coolest things, and it's the thing that I love about the project, is being able to go back after having done the whole series of photos. Then they do an art opening of the photos, because the photos become part of their public art within the building. I always say, if you're going to put art on the walls, make it mean something. And certainly when you see someone in a photograph on the wall in your community, it creates a connection between not just what's hanging on the wall, but the people that are there. So you learn more about the residents. A lot of feedback that I've gotten are like, I had no idea that person, that was their passion. And now I do. And now when I see them, I have something to talk to them about. And the people that participate in the project, there's a real sense of pride that, that their passion is being put out there, that it's them that is, showing and helping tell the story of all the amazing people that live at that community. It's like, most people live at a community and choose to live somewhere because it's an exceptional place, and it's the people that really make it exceptional. So let's do a project that highlights them and their passion. I mean, there's no better way to create connection and conversation than, having, it's like seeing your family pictures on the wall.
That's terrific. But I bet, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit further and deeper, is that you see this connection happening, you see the conversation happening not only in the retirement community, but what's happening in the broader community. And what is the goal here in really expanding that conversation?
The goal of the project has always been for it to change the paradigm of aging and our perceptions of aging. We live in a very sort of mindless, thoughtless culture of ageism. We're very, very comfortable of putting ourselves down, putting others down, minimizing people based on their age. Whereas we wouldn't feel as comfortable or as, careless with our words if it was about other differences that people had. So ageism is very strong in American culture and cultures around the world, but I think it's time to change that conversation. And there's a lot of awareness that's being raised around ageism, but I think we're at a point where there's more awareness, but there's really no opportunity or sort of redirection of like, where do we go from here? And for me and for the Passions Project, that instead of saying, what's your age, to redirect that to what's your passion. And that's the conversation that we are looking to have, is what's your passion? Because when you see people doing your passion, you're not thinking about their age, you're just thinking about their passion.
So what's their passion? And that can be really used at any age. And changing that conversation is so needed in our world and community today, because I do believe, and you hit on the head earlier, that when you would tell somebody about working at a retirement home, their eyes would glaze over and have one perception of it. They didn't see the residents as you do. And I think that is so true, that we think, if you're in a retirement home, it's the kind of end of life. You're kind of winding down and you're not full of life. And that's not true. And you're capturing that wisdom, you're capturing that passion that's still so vibrant in all of those residents.
I mean, so much of our culture right now has us all putting ourselves in these boxes and
Yes.
defining ourselves in certain ways that keep us separate from other people. And I think one way that I have in over the years redefined aging is that you're only old when you stop living. And there's many times in our lives where we come across or are in situations where we no longer feel connected to or feel passionate or have a purpose. And in those moments, that's when we need to be thinking about that idea of like, what's my passion? What's the passion and of what am I doing and how do I want to recreate my life? And you're not thinking that you're at the end of your life at 30, but oftentimes in different parts in your life, you do find yourself needing to redefining that and reconnect with passion. So I just think that when we move away from that idea of, yes, I'm moving in, we're all aging every day. There's no avoiding it. There's only one way to avoid it.
We're not ready for that.
And most people aren't really ready for that solution. So as we age, it's important to see people for people and not for old people. I always say to people, I don't photograph old people. I photograph cool people, interesting people, powerful people, amazing people, passionate people.
And tell us about who hires you, and then the Passions Project, the art that you create, how is that displayed? What happens at that?
Traditionally and most over the years, it's been more working with retirement communities. And I've worked with retirement communities in California, Montana, Iowa, Illinois, Texas, Colorado, and always looking to work with more and more organizations that are really committed to being resident focused. And what better way to focus and show that commitment to your residents by doing a project that's about them and their passion. And it really does create a talking piece, a real place of pride. It's a way to tell your story of who you are. Everybody's unique and different, and the Passions Project puts that right there on your wall of like, who are you and who are the people that live here and what is the life that's lived here and the vibrance of that life. And, since then, the project has moved into other spaces as well, working with organizations that are doing things in the creative aging space. That's a whole, part of people who are necessarily, working with older adults in regards to housing, but are also creating other services and also are in a place where are looking to redefine aging as well.
That's fantastic. And so what happens to the residents when they see their pictures, or the families that come to visit, or even those in the community? What happens in that conversation?
A lot of times people will say, I want to be Roxy when I get older. And I look at people and I say, you shouldn't wait to be that cool until your later years. Like, you should aspire to be that cool right now. And again, that's moving the narrative away from suspending this opportunity to creating it right now. And I love seeing the people that are in the pictures, that people from all that age continuum coming to them and asking about, tell me what's that camera that you're using, in that picture, or, what do you, what's the camera you shoot with, or what kind of photography do you love to do? What kind of projects are you working on right now? And it's an opportunity. It's a conversation starter. And I love seeing people that they don't see, that they would necessarily think they have anything in common with. They now see common ground. They now see a way in which to talk to somebody who's older, someone they probably wouldn't take the time to even consider that they would have anything in common with, or anything that they would, enjoy spending time with them. And now there is this incredible opportunity to talk about something you probably or could possibly both be very passionate about.
So it's that conversation about passion. It's connection. It is bringing community together, whether it's just a few people or that bigger community in a big way. So Heidi, as a business owner, a boss lady, what is a tip or strategy that you would give somebody that's starting a business or have an established business? You've been very successful. So what advice would you give our viewers today?
That being an entrepreneur is not as easy or as glamorous as it can sometimes seem. There's a lot of times you are by yourself and doing things, and you are absorbing different disappointments or letdowns or even failures that you have created in your business. And you really need to you still need to find and dig deep and find the passion. So if you are looking to start your own business or be an entrepreneur, do something that you feel deeply connected to and that is something that you are passionate about, because you're going to need to dig deep and find that passion to keep going when that heartbreak comes and when people don't necessarily see the value in what you're doing, but you have to know the value. And that can be a lonely place sometimes. So it can be easy to walk away from things that you don't feel as, connected or passionate about. But if you do have that, you will keep going. Sure. I've kept going, that's for sure.
So really, if you're starting a business, make sure you're passionate about it. Don't do it just for the money, because everybody's after money. Follow your passion. Do it with all your heart, because there are always going to be ups and downs. And I think that's really sage advice. So with that, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your passion and the Passions Project with us. If our viewers want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I love it if people go to my website. It's a visual project. Check it out. It's at thepassionsproject.com. So that's the passions with an S project.com. And you can also just pick up the phone and give me a call. My number is 720-933-1567.
Heidi, thank you so much today. You are incredible, and we thank you so much. I'm Jacqueline Jones, your host with the Wings Boss Ladies. Thank you for joining us. We thank you for being with us. We know you have choices and appreciate your viewership. Please subscribe and like us. We're Wings Boss Ladies. You can find us here and on several channels. I'm Jacqueline Jones, your host of the Wings Boss Ladies.